Fans of the Horus Heresy and Warhammer 40,000, thank you very much for joining me for my 5th instalment of How to Build a Legion Fellblade by Forge World. This one's called Bodybuilding, and it's called that because the body of the tank is now assembled. After much faffing, test fitting and other general manipulation work, it's now together. So what I'm going to do in this video is talk about the thought process and the sequence in which I went about actually putting this together to get to this point, and well, hopefully share a bit of wisdom about assembling this tricky but impressive model. So let's start off by talking about what we did here. Bits. Well, we've got the 3 main plastic assemblies, the left, the right and the bottom hull. We've got the front plate, we've got the glacis plate or the front hull with the heavy bolter turret that I'd assembled previously. We've got the upper hull, and then we've got the engine, or the power pack if you prefer. How did I go about assembling this? This in essence is a 5-step process to get to here, going from having no parts assembled to the whole thing built. So I'll go through these in sequence. The first thing to do is to assemble the plastic hull, and to do that I basically push fitted it together. Very important, you need to put this front hull in. If you forget that, then you're going to struggle to get it in. So don't forget to put that in, but don't glue it at this point. I put this together, as you can see, put this plate on and this on as well. So it's all push fit. Then I checked the fit on the side units onto the lower hull. I actually found it was rather tight in places, so I went and I just cut down a couple of the little notches of it just to get a slightly easier fit. So once I've done that, as I say, I put it all together push fitted like this. The fit's very affirmative because you've got all these notches running along it, so there's no real play on it, so that's good. But you do need to do a dry fit to make sure you get the vertical sides positioned correctly. There's no real internal strength to this or internal bulkhead to give you the shape of it. You're relying on particularly, I guess, the top plate to define the form, and also this front hull as well. I push fitted it together, and then using my new favourite adhesive, Tamiya extra thin plastic cement, I then just ran the plastic cement into all the joins along here while it was push fitted together. Did one side, let it set, swung around and then did the other, all the time keeping the model push fitted together like this. And I then let that set. Obviously there's no rush to do this, so yeah, give yourself a bit of time to set. If you're working with slower setting glues, perhaps something like this with a thickening agent in it, you'll need to allow yourself a bit longer for your parts to set. Then the next thing to do, the second step, was to glue the front plate in position. And what I did was I used some high viscosity super glue. So me being quite frugal with my expenditure on hobby supplies, I use this from a Mitre Bond kit. So this is high viscosity super glue. You can see how it flows. This isn't great for everything, but it is good for sticking these together because it gives you more working time. And unlike medium or medium thin, it won't run out the cracks as easily, and you end up with glue in all the wrong places. I put some glue on the inside on the attachment tabs here, and then on the underside here. So I put the glue on, I then push fit the hull back in, so this piece, and the engine pack. Now you need the engine pack at this point because you need the engine pack to make sure you get the rear of the upper hull aligned to the edge of the plastic hull. You can see on the other side and this side how I've done that. And it's important to do that because there's nothing to affirmatively position this upper hull, and although you start with this, you need the whole thing set up right so you get this positioned right. So I did that, push fitted it, got everything held in the right position, and then just maneuvered this into place. And as you can see, got a very nice fit there, and everything's lined up beautifully really. I'm really pleased with that. Let that dry. I might have used a squirt of some accelerant just to speed the process along. I can't remember now. I only did it yesterday evening. I then took it apart again. Now we move on to sticking the front hull in position over glacis plate. This time I put adhesive on the underside of this tab and this tab, down the edges of this piece, not these, of this. I'm just pointing here because I can't obviously put my finger inside now. And then on the underside of this edge here that's going to attach to the front hull. So I put the adhesive on there, and then I carefully put it in position, making sure I didn't get lots of glue here and here. So it just sort of slides in a bit like that. Slid that into position, again, put this top plate on, put the power pack on, got it all lined up, held it in position, let it set. Very careful to make sure the alignment was good here. I actually ended up doing a little bit more heat bending on this before I finally stuck it together. So that's another point actually to consider. Once I got this in position and the whole side stuck together, I needed to rebend this plate a little bit. And you can see that's paid off because I've got a nice fit across it. So I then let that adhesive set, again, working with the thick super glue. You need to work with super glue when you're interfacing resin to plastic components. These glues won't work. Any sort of plastic cement won't work on resin. So 1, 2, 3, that was step 3. So the fourth step is attaching the upper hull. When you take the upper hull off, you've got a lip on the underside. And if you go back to my previous videos, you can see this. And that gives a really good fit against this. So once you get to this stage, everything's pretty much lined up really. And all you really need to do now is get this and this side of the upper hull plate lined up properly on the engine block. Again, I put adhesive on. I ran adhesive down the channels that run here and here on the upper hull plate. You can kind of see those where the plastic plate is going to go into. I then also put some glue on the lip that's going to connect against that. And then finally I put some glue on the inside of these guides here that are going to attach onto the hull there. Put the glue on, slid it on, again put the power pack in place, got it lined up, held it, let it set. I didn't really have to hold it much, it was pretty easy once that was lined up. One thing to remember is I do when I build my kits, I never clamp anything together. Basically I'll do all my work manipulation so everything just push fits without any force needing to go on it. If there's any force put on it, I go back and I do some more work to improve the alignment. I just think of it in terms of having to hold things in position to get them set, and you're just making your job a bit harder, and you know, maybe it's not as well lined up as it could be. So that was a top plate, and then the last piece of this section was just attaching the power pack, and that's dead easy, it really is. Just put some glue on and attach it. One thing I did do though was the joint between this lower hull and these side hull plates wasn't quite right. This ridge here wasn't quite level, so what I did is I just cut some of the plastic away to get that edge there straight on both sides and just did a bit of sanding. I think I might have then heated this part up one more time just at the bottom here, push fit it, held it, made sure that this had a really good attachment, you know, everything was true and square. Once I've done that and dried it off, put the glue on and just simply stick it on. Very straightforward, dead easy. And we're done. That's my approach to sticking the hull together. And that was, 5 steps. Plastic hull and sides, putting this in place at the same time without gluing it. Then gluing that, number 2. Gluing the front hull, number 3. Gluing the upper hull, number 4. Gluing the power pack, number 5. And I found that much easier to do this time round than when I'd done my glaive, which I found really tricky to do. And the reason I found the glaive so hard was I didn't do this bit first, where I attached the heavy bolter turret on to turn this into one piece. So that really is significant. If you do that, you'll find it much, much easier. As always, just take your time, do some push fitting, work out where your glue is going to go before you actually put the glue on. And then when you actually come to commit, attach the glue, which you can't come back from, you're not going to have any issues. As is often the case with building a resin kit, there is a catch. And the catch was when I then came to test fit the side units again, the fit's not quite there anymore. You see I've got a gap here. And if we then just do the same with the other one, we've still got this gap here a bit. It's not as bad as it was, but this isn't quite right. I mean, what I've got here is this lip is a little bit low for this lip. And if I try line them up, I'm going to press that down. Not quite sure it wants to go. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go back and do a little bit more work here and here with the heat, just to finally get them aligned and set it up for as good a fit as I can get. Once I've done that, then what I'll be doing is I'll be fitting the tracks, which is going to be interesting. So it's not the easiest thing to do with the tracks, but I'm hoping that this might be in a better position than the glaive was, and overall it's going to come out better. So we'll see how we go with that. There you have it then, part 5 of my guide to building the Legion Fellblade tank. Please do share your thoughts and observations about this ongoing project, as always, in the comments. I do like reading your comments about this project that I've got going here. So yeah, please share your thoughts. But other than that, I'd just like to say thank you very much for watching. I'll speak to you next time, and goodbye.